Ladies and gentlemen, okay, I'm not going to do that this time. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Knitmares podcast. The Knitmares podcast, that's what I'm calling it now. I'm your host, Zachary Smith, and I'm joined by the two dorks, Brandon and Mark. Say hello, Brandon.
Hello.
Say hello, Mark. Wait, no, do your proper hello.
No.
God damn it.
One day we will get it recorded.
Indeed.
Hey, what's going on, everybody?
Marcus is here. How you doing?
How?
That's creepy.
Okay. Vinny, Hannah, how are you guys?
Waiting for it to transfer. Oh, there we go. Hey, how's it going?
Okay, it transferred.
All right, we're doing good.
All right. Sweet. Transfer back to my beautiful bearded face. Fuck you. You're just jealous of my beard.
Mark, what are we talking about today?
We are finally getting an opportunity to talk about episode 4 of Living Nightmares. It was an incredible...
I thought we were talking about A New Hope.
Fuck you, Zach.
Well, back in its original release, it was just Star Wars.
Yes. We finally get a chance to talk about episode 4. To say that this was a long road to get to this episode would be a massive fucking understatement. I cannot tell you how many... Oh, God.
We wanted to do this before Living Nightmares was even a thing.
Yes, we did. And you know what? And I can't... There's just so much... The one thing, just to start as a preference, there were dozens of times that like 3 of us would be like, all right, we got to pull the plug. There's something wrong. And one asshole in the group, we all took turns being that asshole, was like, it's like, no, we can't do that. We got to keep it going. Every dead drop date that we had, we went right through. And then at every point we're like, well, should we pull a plug? It's this date. No. Should we pull a plug? No. We were. It was insane up until the end of the production. Like, I can't even think of a moment of rest.
No. So for me, I like to say the most stressful production I've ever been on was the second part of my senior film. The most stressful pre-production, though, hands down this one.
Okay, see,
because when
the actual filming of this was actually overall
one of the smoothest shoots we've ever had, in my opinion.
Barring a couple small challenges that came up.
Yeah.
I guess I suppose I can chalk into pre-production, some of the aspects that happened driving to the set, and then that led to that. But the funny thing is, this did just start from so long ago, and it's crazy to think about how it's finally done. Because we talked about that original Mr. Nightmare story. God knows how long ago it was. It's ridiculous to think about how things. So Zach, start us from the beginning, man. With when we finally decided that we're going to go ahead and do this.
Fuck. So this was what? September or late July when we finally were just like, all right, this is the one we're going to attempt to finally do. Because there was one...
No, it was a little before that. It wasn't September. Like, I remember there was another episode we wanted to do.
Yeah,
We're not going to say what it is because we still might do it.
We are going to do it. Honestly, it was just a matter of cost. Yeah. That is the reason we decided not to go with that one.
Well, also because cost and all the shutdowns that happened with the pandemic, because we were talking about doing that one before the shutdowns happened.
Yes.
Yeah. And then everything shut down for 3 months, and then it was probably around... It was sometime in the summer when we decided to do this one, because it was July 5th, the day after our July 4th get-together, when we went with Dennis.
That's a good point.
That's right. Yeah.
July 5th, we did a scouting with Dennis, so it would have had to have been maybe...
So we probably decided
late
June.
I know
this is going to be the next one.
Because I know we were recording the Simpsons stuff at that time.
Yeah.
We were starting to get into that, so it was kind of running parallel at the same time.
And we were trying to get everything prepped for October because we still had no idea what the fuck was going to happen in October, considering everything that was happening. So it's just like, all right, let's get what we can and just do what we got to do. So, but yeah, I remember we did some location scouting. None of those locations worked, sadly, for what we needed.
There was one that did work. It was just...
we couldn't get the permits.
We couldn't get the permits for it.
Yeah.
So there's a very, very specific thing with that one, with the permits. So there's a really weird thing with Illinois in particular. Here's a good educational portion for all filmmakers. There's going to be a lot of great educational things for everybody watching on what to do and what not to do, and then also just some realities of stresses that exist. Because I got a fucking ulcer from this production. I'll tell you that. I'll tell this story a little bit later down the road. But I got to a point where my dad, who has known me my entire life,
Well, I should hope so.
well, duh, but
I was gonna say, wait, he didn't know you when you were a baby?
I got so frustrated is an understatement. So angry. He said, "I've never, ever seen you like that, ever." So it got to that level of stress. So the starting of the stress was funny thing. When you want to do a production in the woods in the state of Illinois, guess what? If it's not a private property, if it's owned by the public, it is run by the Illinois Forest and Recreation Department. All the forests are run by that one department, and they have their own subsets. It costs anywhere between $20 an hour to like $200 a day to $1,000 a day, depending on what forest you're in, to get those permits. This particular setting that we wanted to do with Dennis, I called up the guy. The guy was very, very nice, very helpful. He was a village of whatever village it was out there. And he told me, he's like, actually, that property isn't run by the county. It's run by a separate subsection organization, of the Illinois Forest and Recreations Department, that owns this particular piece of land. Now they have a hearing at least once a month about where you can bring business up to them. You can submit your application, but you won't know for another month or a month and a half of whether or not it's even approved. And the guy was very nice. He said chances are high that it's probably not going to get approved. They will probably deny you for whatever reason, he said. He was very, very nice about it. So we were back to square one, and none of the locations were mapping out to be that. So I knew in my mind, I'm like, we got to do this on private property. There was literally no way we can do this on fucking public land. We're not in the budget to do it. We're not in the logistical standpoint to do it, because they wanted a 6 month or a year ahead plan. I know this sounds ridiculous, but it's the truth. Like, they wanted this much of a planning in advance. And we're like, we want to get this done like before it gets cold outside. We don't want to do this in the middle of winter.
Oh, I wouldn't be able to. There's no way.
That's
when it comes to the
right.
cold.
That's right. And I'll let Brandon explain that too, because he had other things. But let me finish this story. So I knew that it had to be done on private land. So I started, just calling people and going through my business networks, and we finally got it. We got the location, and I'll leave that story for a little bit later. But that was the start of all the logistical problems that went into this production, and that was just nailing down the location. That was one of the hugest keys.
We did film like roughly mid-October, and like even looking just like in all the areas that we're looking at, I was looking at average temperature for the past 5 years in all the areas we were considering. And on average, we actually did film the last weekend we could have before it would have been too cold for minimum temperature requirements for our equipment.
And I know originally we were talking about private property of going up to Jill's cabin. Jill, amazing friend. We named a lens after her.
She was the focus puller for the Steadicam shot in episode 4.
And she's also done, camera op and camera assistant for many different episodes. She's terrific. She learned how to waltz for episode 3.
Great job.
Just fantastic. I think we all adore her. Watching her scarf down a gluten-free pizza was one of the fucking highlights of episode 3. She's great. Just nothing quite like a person interrupting a take on Zach Sr. to tell me she was a fan of a movie I was in.
He had to get that in for his ego.
Of course, naturally. No, it's actually all about Jill. But we were thinking about going up to her cabin, but then the temperature thing got in.
That area was probably the worst temperature-wise.
Yeah.
Well, there's that, and that's a 5-hour trip. So I'd also have to worry about somehow lodging, cast and crew up there, which is just like, that's also like That's going to cost a lot. Then I got to bring food, and then I got to do all this other stuff. So it's like, Jesus Christ, I don't want to do that.
Well, dude, and that's the funny thing is that cost came into perspective because there were a few people in the industry that we were working with originally that said there's no way that you can do this without other people being involved, other funding being involved, and you know, and our
that was before we even filmed episode 1 of Living Nightmares.
Yeah.
And it's like I do remember it's like there's people in the industry that told us that we would never be able to film this the way we wanted to film it without their help. And
especially the one take part that I was firm on the one take thing from the very beginning. Originally I wanted to do the whole thing in one take. That sadly wasn't possible, at least in our current
it wasn't
state.
a possibility thing. It was when we actually talked about the needs of the story, you realized it wasn't right for the entire thing to be one take until he exits the car.
But you know what though? I will be honest, man. You fought us on that because I wanted it too. I really did. I wanted to do the fucking shot from Goodfellas. I really wanted it to be, but I also knew. Brandon and I think very pragmatically in that regard. We knew what it would cost and what the logistics of that and all that stuff. And I was even against it. So Zach very much stuck to his guns, and I'm glad he did because it turned out great. But originally it wasn't. We were going back and forth about just that. Because we knew how important it was going to be. And then. Then of course, unfortunately David's not here, but David had his perspective, to bring in the fold, and he was, he obviously knew, he agreed with me for the most part, which it would be awesome, but do we have the finances to get it done?
Yeah.
So it was a lot of that. We talked about this a lot. There's a lot of conversations that went on about this.
Yeah, just going on the one take alone, like that was.
So we had. So we knew that this was going to be and that was one thing too. There was a bit of a lack of confidence on all of our parts because we knew how expensive it was, and we just and I think that's why we've skirted decisions in the past, and now I think we have a tremendous amount of confidence because we can take this budget and and we can do it. We did it ourselves. We accomplished it.
And with everything else we've done, not just on this episode, but previous episodes, I think we are very much more in tune with. We don't actually need some of this stuff. We just need to look like this stuff. Yeah. Like episode 2. He wasn't actually parked in the middle of the street. He was literally just on the shoulder. But if you watch the film, it looks like the car is where it should be.
Exactly.
It's all about the illusion.
Always. It got crazy with the locations, but gratefully, one of my oldest childhood friends, Chris, his uncle lives on a property up in Lake Moore, near the Wisconsin border, and it was a piece of private property, then a very long driveway. And we got there, and by the way, the gates in the front were these beautiful gates. I would have loved to. I think I told Zach right when we walked in, I was like, I would love to shoot like an Elizabethan era thing in here. Like it's so fucking cool. Like you could have a carriage going through this because the huge lamps that were out there are very very old school.
I'm sure David and Lily would have a field day.
Oh, dude, it would be insane. We were working through it and everything else. And we finally locked it down. And we were able to get the location. Other problems happened later, but we really, I think we went over 2 more times, and we just went through the process, and we invited other people back, and
we had Wes and Jill to test out their stuff because Wes had worn the Steadicam before, but we were never able to give him enough practice until then. That was the first time, other than when I first moved into the apartment with Zach, where he got some actual practice. And that was the first time Jill even touched a wireless follow focus system.
Wow.
Yeah.
And
then I remember our first night, we decided we also needed to make sure we have bug spray because as we were walking and I was talking to you guys about something, there was a bug that flew right into my mouth.
Oh, that's right.
Hit my gag reflex, and I actually threw up because of it.
He ran away. It's just like threw his guts up. We're like, what are the fucking odds of that happening?
He got throated by a fly.
Oh, dude. It's like, we are bringing bug spray.
Legitimately, it's fucking crazy.
That location, it's interesting too, because at first, for a little while, I had heavy doubts about it. Like when I saw the driveway, I'm like, yeah, it's long, but I didn't think it was long enough. I mean, we made it work with like camera angles and stuff like
You can
that.
always make something look longer with a wide-angle lens.
Yeah, and that was eventually what, kind of won me over, but I know what you're thinking. You nasty! Jesus. But, yeah, and I was also looking at the woods and stuff. I mean, the woods I was a little less concerned with. I found a spot that I liked a lot. There was more shrubbery in the way that I was able to take care of later, but, I mean, shit, I made it work, so...
Yeah, so I think we're on the location. Marcus, what did you think when you first walked in? Because you walked in. When did you get involved?
Day one.
Was it day one right in there? You right out of the gate.
As far as seeing the location.
Yeah, as far as seeing the location and
yeah,
everything
it
else.
was the first day of
kind of filming.
photography, yeah.
What were your thoughts? Walking in, did it work for you? Or?
I was questioning, especially because of how are you going to hide these people? How are you not going to see them on the first look around?
Yeah.
So that was my big question there. But obviously it worked well. But looking at there, especially because it was, it was getting to be nighttime. But still, it's just how are they going to... So I was curious to see how it was going to look.
And that was the funny thing too, is that like during the day it's the worst location because there's no thickness to that shrubbery. But the second it hits night and those lights turn off automatically, it's perfect.
Yeah, when the lights on the street turn out, all the lights in the boathouse is in the back.
Oh yeah.
Fun
We can
fact.
talk about that later.
Yeah, when that
Into
gets to the
post-production.
post. So and Vinny got to be there a little extra too. For rehearsal,
test day.
for rehearsal and everything else.
And he was the only other person I had for a rehearsal. He was the only cult member I had who I'm just like, and I'm glad he was there too because I may not have ever came up with that tree idea.
Oh yeah, totally. I was so glad we got to do that.
Yeah.
It was a fun little venture into. It's like a baby stunt, but it was fun.
I mean, it was still like I was glad.
It looks great for the thing.
Oh, absolutely. I was just like, because originally I didn't have any like major actions planned. So when I saw that, I'm like, nah, fuck that. We're gonna do that. That's gonna be fun. So
Yeah, let's do it.
yeah.
So Vinny, what were your thoughts on going to location for the first time?
It was a much simpler. I don't know. For some reason I pictured it like being out like almost like on an actual road. So when I saw what it actually was on camera, it looks like it's like a road through some forested area or something you can't tell. But it was. I looked at it and I was like, well, this is perfect. I mean, I think the best thing was, to me, it seemed like it was an environment that could be controlled much easier. Because again, for some reason, I was picturing this being out on like a major country road, which it could be on.
Oh yeah.
But you didn't have to film it on that, which was great.
Yeah, I was very surprised with how well the location worked at the end. I'm just like, fuck it, we're making this work. So
Zach, why don't you tell them about that beautiful lake that was right off the back?
There's a beautiful lake.
yeah, like literally right behind that, it's just this wonderful lake. And the first thing I thought when I saw that was like, I want to film a Friday the 13th fan film down here. I just wanted to get in my Jason costume, go in there and scare the shit out of Mark.
We were so lucky to get that fucking location. And there was so much great shit in there, and the ability to, to have a separate kind of, crafty area and everything else, and have that off to the side, and then, and that's the crazy thing, because in reality, that's the funny thing about the reality of it. It was filmed on somebody's driveway. Like, that's like, and that's the crazy part. Like, it's no different than, filming it on somebody's driveway. And that's, that was really, crazy about the whole experience. And I'm just so happy it fucking worked, man, because, of course, the location was the beginning of our troubles when it came to, getting this production done. But it definitely, and me speaking as the actor, it was easy. It was easy to get into that environment and to be in the woods and to feel that, because that's what it was. It was easy to walk in and be like, yeah, I'm in. If I was a cop and I was in this situation and there really was no house, here, this wasn't somebody's driveway, and I was in the middle of the woods, which it did appear to be, I'd be fucked. There would be nowhere for me to go except right back to my car like I did. When you're in the middle of the woods and there's trees for miles in every direction and a bunch of people step out in fucking masks, There's no way. There's nowhere to fucking
Steps
go.
out with masks and they're holding like axes,
Axes and
pickaxes,
shit.
machetes. Like,
You know, and yeah, I got a fucking pistol, but when you're surrounded, you're surrounded.
there's only so much a Glock's gonna do for you.
Correct. I mean, and that was really cool, like from that perspective, because a lot of times, and Vinny knows this, being in theater, sometimes you just really gotta fucking pretend, like you really gotta, really give that effort, but when you pick the right location and you're in the right environment, it's real easy. That's the thing. With actors, like you're gonna get the best performances when things are easy. It really is that true. Like if the script is great, there's less work for the actor to do. It's all right there. It's beautifully done. The location is immersive and everything else. And I did what I always do, which was I've been doing it since I was 8 years old. I get there early and then I walk the set. I really needed to walk the set when I got there for the first day.
The whole plot kind of hinged on you walking through the set.
I know, but no, I'm just talking about the other shit that happened on the way to the set. I needed that walk for a second to not be near fucking people, and go just decompress and fucking think about it. But it's nice that I got to keep that tradition going of being immersed in that environment. It was a cool fucking location. And I give a lot of credit to Chris and his uncle David, and then their landlord, who we finally, through some miscommunication, which we'll explain, when we're talking about the day of the production, we'll get into detail. I promise I will tell this story, but it was a great experience to be that lucky, and we continue to work hard, but we do continue to be lucky with a lot of great locations, that just fucking work. And trust me, I lose more sleep over that shit than anything. It's the right cast and then the right crew, or the right crew. You know what? Actually, that's the easiest one. The right crew is always almost. I don't even think about it. The right cast and the right location and the right, in this case, props and vehicles.
I don't know why you're complaining about cast. Cast is easy.
Well, yeah, for you it's easy. You're a lightning rod for good casting. That's an ego boost for me. Twice. But Brandon's like, no. But no, it was a great immersive experience. It really fucking worked. I know that there was a lot of other great stuff. What was the next bit of fun, Brandon, that we got into for pre-production? Was it the car? Was it the getting the masks done? Was it getting
masks were easy.
The masks were easy.
Yeah, all we had to do is call Dennis, work out the detail. And he's like, okay, cool, we'll get it done. Cool.
Your girlfriend Sarah did some concept art, which was really good.
Yeah.
And it was basically just we worked out with Dennis like cost of materials that he needed, and we gave him the concept art, and he did a really spectacular job at bringing Sarah's art to life.
Yeah, and that's it. Like I said, Sarah's artwork made it that much easier.
Really, the hardest part with the masks, I think, was just Zach and Sarah deciding what the masks should be. But that's more Zach's story.
Yeah. I mean, it was like, I knew, at one point I finally came to the conclusion, because like in the story itself, they just say that they're wearing masks.
Yeah,
there's no detail at all. So it's like, all right, I have some creative control here. What would be cool? What would be creepy? I thought maybe plain white. I'm like, nah, that's fucking stupid. At one point I thought like, well, maybe I can kind of do like Jason Masters. I'm like, no, I can't do that. That'd be also stupid. And then I think she brought up like something like animal masks or something like that. And then I thought bone. And then I'm like, that would actually be really fucking cool. So I think Sarah really did help me out with that one, mentioning like the bone material or something. So I was just like, all right, draw them out like animal skulls. They're wearing animal skulls. Like think of forest animals that live in the woods that could be human shaped or at least humanly sized to put on your face. And we'll go with that. She came up with those designs and bada bing, bada boom, we got those.
It fucking worked.
And then, off to Dennis, and we got those really badass masks that people fucking love.
I would like to point out that Zach, Sarah, and Dennis came up with that idea before the Wrong Turn remake.
Dennis wore it better.
Dennis wore it better.
Yeah, yes, indeed.
Which the Wrong Turn remake was actually...
It was fun.
Overall pretty good.
Yeah, I enjoyed the movie.
Dennis wore it better.
And actually, Hannah had something really nice to say, too, when talking about the mask. You just made a comment this afternoon.
I was just saying how I thought it was just awesome how... what was I saying?
It's about Sarah. About Sarah coming up with the idea.
Oh, I mean, I was just saying how it's really hard to just kind of come up with an idea organically like that off of nothing.
Oh, agreed.
And I just think it's cool how you could tell she really used the setting to inspire her. And I didn't know that you guys had that awesome conversation to get a lot of those ideas. And I think really the thing that's cool too is because the actors don't talk, the mask really, like, it needs to be big. It needs to speak for them. So definitely successful in that.
Yeah, absolutely the toughest part for me, at least concept was like just coming up with the outfits and stuff like that. Like I was just like, all right, what would work? I don't want to be too generic, but I also don't. I want to do something that makes sense. So just going with kind of the flannel shirts or long sleeves or whatever, I'm like, okay, that's Woodland, that could work. I give them colors based off their rank and stuff. That's why Vinny was the only one wearing a blue shirt because he was actually kind of acrobatic. He was also the one who was out like getting ready to flank down whoever was driving. Dennis was the cult leader, so he had the big red one, and then everybody else had like greenish gray. I was just like, yeah.
It was awesome. It really worked.
Yeah.
And funny enough, I don't even know if you guys did this on purpose, but it's a from a color coordinating perspective, blue is comforting and inviting and not as aggressive. And that's a perfect color to have with somebody that's flagging somebody down. And then you have a guy who, was a cult leader wearing red, power, virility, and a presence to them, and anger and fire. And that's actually really interesting. I don't know if that was on purpose or if that was.
I went with Dennis, like I think big red and stuff like that, so that's why I put it with Dennis. And I thought agile and blue, so that's why I gave that one to Vinny.
Yeah.
And then I just think green and gray are kind of like the basic colors, so that's why I gave that to everybody else.
More camouflaged.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really
they
cool.
blend in with their environments better, so they could come out when they're ready and just go, all right, we're going to town, Pete.
My big pre-production thing was mostly just at the beginning I was talking with Victor, my gaffer, who has been gaffer for episodes 1, 3, and 4. Fantastic gaffer. He's practically been my second half throughout all these pandemic shoots that I've had. But no, if you have a great gaffer, that just makes the director of photography's job that much easier. It's kind of like the director of photography figures out the creative stuff. This is what we're doing, and the gaffer is the one he talks to about this is how we're actually going to go about the lighting on it. And so Victor actually recommended a place called Product Productions to rent some additional lighting equipment and generators. And Product was super helpful, super accommodating to some tweaks and changes we needed to make to our order. And just an all-around great company to rent from.
Oh my God, they were the
Yeah.
nicest and coolest guys. Literally, we ended up wrapping up early on the production, and we were planning on having to.
They let us return everything a day early.
Yeah, they literally say, what it actually was technically, I didn't think they were either not open or they were past their close time on Sunday, and they said, yeah, just call us, just give us a call, and we'll swing down there and pick up the stuff, and we got there, and then like we were, and the funny thing is,
the tour.
they gave us it was like we literally hopped out of the car. And they're like, hey guys, how was it? How did it go? And and they could see that we're dead to the world. They and they're like, oh my God, I'm so glad it went so well and everything else. We got a big studio space here, and and we would love to give you guys a tour. And and I'm like, I turned to Brandon, I'm like, we're all dead tired, but why not do this? And they ended up giving us a tour, and then we ended up staying there for like an hour and a half, just bullshitting about everything.
Dude, I remember waking up in bed because me and him, we drove home like the night immediately after. We're just like, nah, fuck this, we're going home. And I was like, I finally woke up. It's like 5:30 or something, and I look, I'm like, these motherfuckers ain't here yet? What the fuck happened? Oh God! I called them, and it's just like, no, we're fine. We're just getting a tour of a studio. What? Okay, fuck it. I'm going back to bed.
They it was just really cool. It was a nice. Considering how stressful it was, I mean, I remember, and this is a funny story. I was sitting at at lunch at a burger joint, like the night before the last night, because we did the 2-night shoot, and I was having lunch with Sarah, and she was talking to me about something, and I did what my Uncle Tommy did with the 10,000 mile stare. I was off, and she's like, "Are you even here right now?" I was like, "Nope." Not even here. I was barely on fumes. But you know, though, but at the same time, we joke all the time, like, this is our life, we chose it.
Yeah.
We
This
can.
is the life we chose.
For some fucking reason I'll never understand.
We
I
also.
always said, I don't want to be a producer. What the fuck do I end up doing? Producing.
the,
I don't want to be an audio guy. Hey, can you be our boom holder? No.
I shall not. But yeah, it was, I mean, that was a really cool experience, and they were a fantastic vendor. And actually, overall, we had, even though stress has happened, we had some great fucking vendors to help out with this. A lot of great people who did work very quickly. Some of which is their own fault, but some of which is people who just came in and said, and I said, hey, I need this done like tonight, and they're like, no problem, we'll get it wrapped up, we'll get it taken care of. Just everybody was, and I think a lot of people were really hungry to help out because of the pandemic, and I think everybody was kind of getting a little cabin feverish on this. So it was really cool to see people want to help, with all that stuff. So what's next, Zach? What was the next?
I think the cop car.
Cop car's the only other thing.
Well, I do want to talk about the costumes a little bit, but that's kind of.
The costumes were pretty simple. I mean, we had to track down like a pistol, and I wanted to get a realistic looking one, so I went on eBay and I found some guys selling CO2 pistols. One looked cheap as fuck, and I was just like, whatever. But the other one was like full metal Glock 19 replica, and I was like, police, use standard issue Glocks. So I'm like, all right, let me get that. And I mean, that thing is fucking amazing. I use it as a dry fire practice weapon all the fucking time now. So yeah. It's fucking awesome.
Hey, Vinny, I pointed it directly at you. Did it feel pretty realistic?
I think so. I mean, as realistic as I could. My brain was in other thought processes at that moment.
He was in killer mode. His
Yeah.
only instinct was to murder you.
And climb trees.
Climb trees. Let's see if I get closer. I tried to see if I was testing sometimes, like, how close could I get to this guy? Like, if this is a real cop, how close could I get? Okay, the gun's in front of me. I'm gonna back up a little, but don't show fear in the eye of your enemy.
Dude, your eyes were brilliant on that.
Because I remember too, we were really talking about like, what does a cop costume actually need? Like, we were asking that question early on.
Yeah, like we looked up a bunch of like
eventually-
state trooper uniforms. So I got the radio. We found somebody to do the patchwork for the arms and everything.
And whenever we had an issue about what to do, it's like I remember I pulled a clip from Red Letter Media's review of Suburban Sasquatch, because they point out the cheap-ass looking cop costumes they have in that. And I showed that to you guys and was like, this is what we don't do.
And
And they even talked about like what they did for their own costumes for their own movie, so that was kind of a help too.
Marcus, when you saw me walk on the set with the costume and everything else, I'm sure you thought it was realistic, or what were your thoughts on it?
I thought it looked great.
The hardest part, though, at least from my point of view, was the sheriff's star, because it was so hard to find something that was either everything I was finding was either the correct size but looks like a toy, or it looks real but it was super tiny.
Yeah, there's a lot of that shit.
Yeah, so eventually we just decided, all right, Brandon, get the fucking $2 ones. We'll see what they get. I take one look at this thing. I'm like, I could fix this. I go in the back to my 3D printing set. I take some of the gold paint I have. I spray the hell out of it. So now it's shiny gold. I'm like, this looks like shit. So I go outside to my front lawn. I dig it in the dirt and just muddy it the fuck up. I'm like, all right, I can make this look even better. I take some gritty-ass sandpaper and I scratch the shit out of it. How's this look? Actually, looks really fucking good. Cool, here's our badge.
I'll do it 2 more times to the background cops.
That's right. I had to do it for Vinny's background costume and Dennis's background costume. Even though you don't get close enough to see them, but it's like, all right, well, they're authentic, so no one could say we didn't do our due diligence.
Yeah, it took like, what, 15 minutes? What about you, Marcus? What did you think about the costumes and everything else? Because you kind of, like, you didn't get to see a lot of the pre-pro, the early pre-pro. I mean, you were involved in some of the early pre-pro and planning it, when you needed to be as the AD. I think it'd be interesting to hear your perspective walking on.
I was impressed. I really liked the masks. The flannel worked. Yeah, I just thought it worked. I thought it was simple but, effective.
Okay, fair enough. I know that the cool part about the best decision, and I think it was you, Zach, who suggested this, was the flank jacket, the actual bulletproof jacket. That helped a lot.
Yeah.
And actually, unfortunately, it helped even more on the second day because Dennis actually put it on me correctly.
This idiot was walking around with it backwards the entire time. Dennis takes one look at him. He's like, "What the fuck are you doing?"
Yeah, dude. As soon as he put it on correctly, I was like, "Oh, I feel so much better." But dude, even with it on incorrectly, the feeling of it, felt very much in that. And I was like, I used to want to be a cop when I think I told you that on set. I leaned into you. I was like, I wanted to be a cop when I was like 13 or 14 and everything else. I'm so glad I went the other way, man, because you're gonna put on all this heavy shit and be out in the middle, and it was actually decently hot that first night.
That was amazing.
Much
cooler the second.
Yeah, much. But I mean, like, in all that shit, all that get up, I'm like, I couldn't imagine, doing this in 95-degree weather. Having to rock the bulletproof vest and everything else, it would have been ridiculous.
Did I remember when I went out shooting for the first time with my buddy and he gave me all his gear? I'm like, this feels fucking awesome.
It changes your whole perspective of how you feel and how you walk and how you move. Costume's so important to acting. You got to change your shoes first, and then you work up, all the way up. But when you have a heavy flank jacket on, it's you walk differently, you move differently. It's
It's protective.
Correct. It's very protective.
We also got a cop car.
That was the first thing that I was, wow, how they get that? I was surprised by, just seeing that, because we had shot other things where we needed a cop car and we never had one. So we were like, how are we going to mask it out? And remember David Sr., he was going to use a cop car and he ended up using my Subaru. Like, okay, good one. Good luck fixing that in post. So when I saw the cop car, I was like, wow, okay.
Trust me, that was I can't tell you how many fucking conversations that we had on the cop car. But I'm not even talking about like what happened afterwards with all the logistics, but how important we knew.
I was very much a supporter of getting an actual cop car.
You were not.
For a very important reason. And it's not that I didn't believe we couldn't
Outfit it.
Yeah, it's not that I didn't believe we couldn't turn somebody else's car into a cop car. It was, I knew if we had the real thing, we would have the real thing. And that would be so much less production design stress off of us.
Well, there's then we also wouldn't have to like fuck around with our shots and everything like that.
we
Because
could-
my original plan was I didn't even want to show the damn car. I wanted to just be like, all right, we'll get the lights on there and everything, but we'll never focus on the car. We'll never even look in the car's direction. We'll just look through the front windshield. If anything, we'll build the interior, which would have been fine, but we're never going to show the car. We're never going to get those shots.
And now that you see what we actually have, can you see it really going any other way?
You know what? Back then, there's nothing you could have told me where I wouldn't have been like, just... So yeah, I mean, my original intention was to never really even show the damn cop car. Because I honestly didn't think we were ever going to get a cop car. I'm like, that's just out of the realm of possibility. So, yeah, we can build it, but we're never going to show the cop car. We're just, we're going to cheat it, get close-ups and everything like that. Only get shots really of the interior, because, I mean, we could get the laptop and all that bullshit, deck the back out, put the cage in and everything like that. We could do all that. That would have been easier, I guess, or not in this case. But, yeah, my intention was just do whatever we can to get the main shot and just get the fuck out of the way.
Man, and it's so funny, and I was actually in the camp of, I knew, Brandon and I saw eye to eye on this one, we knew how important it was to show all the cop car, every bit of it, the outside, the inside, but I was in the camp of, I was like, we need to just ultra-fit this, because I in the back of my mind, I'm like, you know what, and I was still looking on the internet for the cop cars, but I'm like, this is going to be too fucking expensive, like, I think I could find a way to get this done, more effectively, cheaper. We rent out things. I was looking at rentals for, for SUVs and trying to see, how that would work. And then I'm trying to think, how can we retrofit this and then bring it back to them in the same piece? And then it, and then we ended up, I ended up finding a guy on the internet that, we ended up talking to, and he was in Libertyville, and I told him what we needed. And I said, we went through multiple different conversations, and I said, this is what I want. I think an SUV would be the best bet, or a mini SUV. I think that would probably be the best for this particular story. And he said, sure, I'll oblige. And then it became really fucking difficult to get a hold of him. It was a constant, a constant thing of trying to get a hold of him and trying to get things going. And Zach, you do the what was the quote?
So after the first conversation with him, apparently
Mark made first contact with him.
Yeah.
It was a little over a month. It was like a month and a week or a month and a half.
It was about a month
It was
and a week
over.
and a half.
It was over a month though.
Yeah. And when the guy heard that, Mark comes up to me and tells me, yeah, this is an interesting guy. Like, as soon as I told him our timetable, he's like, oh, we have a lifetime to get it done. we're over here thinking it's like, yo, do people just call this guy like 5 minutes before? And it's like, yo, we need a cop car over here. Stat. Gotcha. It's just like this guy's always bouncing all over the place, rushing. When he said that, it's just like, oh, all right, well, this is interesting.
Which the more we do work on these episodes, the more I am realizing we do plan ahead a lot more than most people I've encountered.
Yeah. I'm very surprised by how normal that is. Or like normal, like people just doing shit last minute. I'm like, is that really how shit works? Like, seriously?
Or is there something wrong with us?
Or is it just Chicago?
Because we seem to be in the vast minority
of people who plan things ahead and everything else. And it just must be chaos. It's fucking
I'm
chaos.
I want to believe this, what we're doing is normal, but it really feels like it's not.
Somebody at the big studios, please tell us, are we normal or are we the freaks?
I would love to know.
Yeah.
So we started out with from a lifetime. We have a lifetime to go, and then it became a game of cat and mouse trying to get a hold of him. So it was a lot of what's going on, what cars you have available, negotiating the price and and all that stuff, and then my favorite, he's like yeah, we would here's my list of things that we need and everything else. I mean, the sirens on top, and everything. And then everything we would do, he'd be like, oh yeah, let's get that done. You ever talk to somebody like where you go people are like, no, that's your fucking job. People like, hey, Mr. Contractor and everything else, shouldn't we turn the power off before you start fucking around with the electricity?
It'd be like if I'm on a shoot and it's like, hey, Brandon, let's hit record. Oh yeah, we should do that.
it's like,
I remember it's like there was one point where he's like, just dude, call this guy. I need you to take a shot at this. And I didn't want to do that. That's his fucking. I don't like talking to people. You're the salesman. You're the one who likes to hear yourself talk. You do the fucking talking. Don't make me do this. And I'm just like, oh fuck. All right, here we go. I talked to the guy. I'm like, cool. Oh, cool. All right, you get me pictures later on tonight. Cool. Tonight happens.
Oh.
So I was supposed to receive pictures. Still haven't received the pictures.
I almost forgot. That's what it was. It was the fucking pictures. We were chasing this son of a bitch to get pictures. Where's our pictures? Where's the pictures? And really like, oh yeah, I'll get that to you. I'll get to you tonight and everything else. Or my cousin is downtown right now and that's where the cop car is. I'll get it to you tonight. And my brain started to get a fucking twitch, and then it went to my eye. Then I died inside every time I spoke to him. Until the point when I was in Florida and I landed, and here's the three things that happened when I got to Florida.
You're turning red right now, by the way.
He's turning into a tomato.
I'm reliving it. Here's the three things that
more on red later, by the way.
Here's the three things that happened. I landed in Florida. We get there a day early or whatever the case may be. This is for my cousin's wedding. Oh, I'm sorry. We get there late because our flight was delayed. I get there. The fucking car rental gives up my car. I drive to the car rental. Guess what? To take the deposit, they don't accept debit cards. They accept only credit cards. I don't have a fucking credit card with me at the time. They said they're going to charge me an extra $500 to put out at them. They never mentioned that before. Number two, we're right in the middle of this production, and I'm trying to get a hold of this guy to get a fucking picture out of him. A fucking picture. That's all I want. They can't get a hold of him. Can't do anything. I have a client at my job, at my work, it's driving me up a fucking wall and everything else. And I finally get to this rental car and we get into there. I am so mad. And then I finally get a fucking call. I finally try to get this call from this guy. He sends me a picture of the wrong fucking car. Then he sends me a sedan picture and not a wrong picture. And I took my fucking luggage and I threw it across the fucking room. And I
Is this at the hotel or
this is no. I haven't even entered the hotel. We're literally have one of those beggars cars. No, we hadn't even got to it. We were on the sidewalk unloading the car. I threw my fucking luggage. Do you ever see that? Like, do you ever see that meme when they say like about to do a bunch of shots and then all my other family at my 2-year-old cousin's birthday party and they're all like. That was Sarah, my dad, and my dad, Sarah, all going. Watching me melt the fuck down. If I could have saw that guy, I would have fucking murdered him.
Then what happened?
And then I called Zach. And then I called Zach, who thank God is one of my best friends, and I can tell him what the fuck's going on. And I literally say, oh no, and it gets better later on that night. I say, Zach, you gotta fucking call this guy, because if I call him, I'm gonna fucking threaten his life. I'm gonna say, I'm gonna murder you, and I'm gonna put you in the back of that cop car that you promised me, and drive it into fucking Lake Michigan. So Zach, you gotta call him. And then I went outside, and I kind of, and Sarah, being the wonderful, wonderful girlfriend that she is, was of course she just calmed me down, and she's like, it's okay, and everything else, like, we'll figure it out.
She pet him like a dog and called him Snookums.
Never Snookums. Never Snookums. But I calmed down. But
Then what happened, Snookums?
And then I get a call at 11 o'clock at night.
Oh God.
He had took all the cars and gave them to Chicago PD.
Chicago Fire.
Chicago Fire. Gave them to Chicago Fire for their use. And it's just, I didn't know what to do. Like we went to dinner, and like my family was in the bar. Like they had already left. Like
Is that when you called me?
No,
Yeah,
that's
I
when
called
he
you.
called me.
Okay.
I called you. You called me. Me and him were at our wits' end with this bullshit.
I'm like, Zach, hold on, Brandon's calling me. And he's like, he's in the other room. Go get him.
No, he was in a different state.
Oh yeah, that's right. You were with Victor.
I was in Milwaukee on a shoot with Victor, and we were at the hotel just chilling.
So here's the
we
thing.
had our Jersey Mike sandwiches.
Dude, and I'm literally on the phone I'm in the phone. It's like, he fucking gave them Chicago Fire.
So here's the thing. He tells me this. I'm already pulling my hair out because I'm stressed about location. At this point, still costumes to a degree. And then this fucking cop car that we haven't been able to get a picture for months. I'm over here just like, we gotta fucking cancel. Otherwise, we're gonna embarrass ourselves and look like a bunch of assholes. Mark's freaking out just because of this fucking guy. And Brandon's over here just trying to eat a fucking sandwich. And Victor's over here like... No, I'm sorry. This is Victor.
Awkward. And then Brandon's in there like he's like, how can I be the calm one in this? This is not a good look for me.
This is a first for him. Usually it's him the one who's freaking out. This time it's me and this asshole. We're just like, motherfucker.
Dude, I wish I could say that it wasn't that dramatic, but it was that dramatic.
I'm pacing back and forth down the hallway. My cats are looking at me insane.
I'm in the parking lot of a fucking restaurant in a strip mall, literally pacing back and forth in front of a ice cream store, and the teenagers who are trying to close the store are looking at me like I'm gonna rob the fucking joint. They're like, is he gonna come in here and rob us?
So I called you on video call. And like I remember you were like, we're paying this guy to do a job, and it's like I feel like if I were to take any random person on the street, and you almost went, you come over here. If you were to do a job for money, would you do it?
I did see that. I forgot about it. Dude, I couldn't, like, my brain, like, I couldn't understand. Like, I was like, I paid you money. I paid you money. You give me my stuff.
Dude, I I remember, like, after all this shit happened, I'm on the fucking internet looking up places in goddamn New York, sending emails like, yo, would you be willing to send a car all the way to Chicago? We're in a shitty situation right now, and we're fucking desperate. We just need a... No. Do you remember that one fucking quote commercial where the guy's calling all the places, and it's just like, just need a quote. Quote, please. I just need a quote. That was me! I just need a cop car. Give me a price and I just give me a price.
Dude, we were gonna
and
drive.
a yes or no. Please. That's all I need.
Dude, we're gonna
in
drive.
a picture.
Dude, we're gonna drive to Missouri and Michigan to go get this fucking cop car. Dude, we knew, like, and this is why we went to all these like pull the plug moments and everything else, because, and this is a compliment for my cast and our crew. We want every time that we're doing something, you guys are giving your hearts and your souls to these productions. We never want to disappoint you. That's always in our fucking heads. Why do you think we obsess about Crafty and making sure that you guys have the best Crafty and the best catering, and to make sure that we have the best circumstances that we possibly can? It's all we think about when we're in a production. That's literally all we think about. Is this the best production for our audience and our cast and our crew? And that's why these crazy fucking situations happen where we're calling New Jersey and New York and Michigan.
It reminds me of a story I heard from Breaking Bad for season 5.
We need a train.
Where it's just like one of the producers or writers is like minding their own business, and they just get a phone call. We're going into a pitch for AMC in a half hour. We need to know where we can get a train.
Oh yeah, and then the last icing on the cake was him on the other line, and I'm saying, well, we need. Oh yeah, right in that same time when I was having that conversation, I was trying to also coordinate with the decal guy, to put on all the decals on the phone, because he was just gonna give me a cop car with no decals on the side, no state police, no nothing, just a white cop car. Hey, let's go nuts. So I had to coordinate that with the decal guys, and then I had to make sure I got the decal PDF so I can hand it over to Lori over at CP Apparel to make sure she got the embroidering done. And that was done on. I handed that PDF for her on Tuesday. I needed it by Friday morning. I picked it up on the way to go get the van to go pick him up in the city.
Essentially, everything finally came together the week of shooting.
500 heart attacks later.
500? Understatement of the fucking year.
Oh my god! If we just that fucking thing was so bad shit.
I thought getting the Steadicam was going to be hard. No, that was the easy part.
How collected and calm did we seem on set? Did any of this pre-production drama seep into your experience on set?
A little bit.
we crowded. We keep it as much as possible.
No, I remember there was one night where I went over to his place and I'm just like, I need a fucking drink. I was there till like 6 a.m. Oh shit, I gotta be at work in about an hour. Well, I'm showing up wasted.
I'm sure you're going to edit that part out of this podcast.
No, they never fucking notice. Even Wes is just like tired.
Yeah. No, I'm curious. That now that we're talking about it in retrospect, what did you see? What did you not see?
It was a different situation the second night. It was a very calmer. Everybody was in a much better spirit. When I first got there, yeah, you guys seemed very much on edge. Everything, just like little things, I'm like, okay, that doesn't seem like a big a deal, but okay, we'll figure it out. Like, don't park here, park over there. Okay, all right, sure.
Which there were actually reasons behind that.
Yes, there were. A few.
One of you was a little worse than others.
It's probably me.
Who is the worst?
Do you really want to know?
It was probably me.
It wasn't me. I know I was calmer than both of you.
You were just on one that night. I said something. You asked me about the actors. I'm like, the actors are basically ready. You're like, there's no basic. Either they're ready or they're not. It's like, okay, I'm gonna walk away.
I'm so sorry, Mark.
Hey, I've never seen Brandon like that. I'm gonna give him some space.
Remember that.
I bet you don't, asshole.
so
I am so sorry.
So Brandon was in the car with me when we were driving down, so we were both on 11.
This could very much be why. I
The
was
like
that.
speakers go to 11. Like, hey, but before I get like that. Okay, that's funny. Why are the cars parked there? They need to be parked over here. Don't you understand, Marcus? You know what? And I think maybe that's why I give you even more credit on this production, because you're just that calming force that just said like, okay, I guess we'll do it this way. So you took all that in stride. You're like, yeah, it's cool, man. Opposed to us, missing.
But to be fair, they're either ready or they're not. Because we can't film until they're ready.
Oh man.
Am I wrong?
Just say 5 more minutes.
Yeah, and then this will get fun too. So with the I know the porta potties I'm going to talk about in a second, because that led into the reason why Brandon and I were the way that they were. But I wanted to talk about too, because we had a lot of other things, really cool things on this. Was all the equipment. And also, too, we had, this is the first time we rented a moving van, which had its own little set of problems later on.
We rented equipment that wasn't ours.
Correct. We had a generator out there. We had several different things. It was actually a really full-blown production. I was going to ask you guys, how did it feel, besides all the stress and everything else, and Marcus, you've been on several of our sets, so far. How did it feel different this time around versus other times when we didn't have we had a little bit more of a smaller budget,
Once we were actually there and filming, to me it didn't feel that much different, other than the stresses we were dealing with in terms of actually getting it done. It really is just the same as our smaller ones, where it's just like, these are the shots we need to get, we get them.
Honestly, this one was probably the more enjoyable one for me, because 1, I was out in the woods. 2, I wasn't with you guys that day, thank fucking God, because otherwise I would have lost my goddamn mind.
Protected you from some information.
Yeah, smart move, because I would have lost my fucking shit.
Yeah.
So, yeah, plus I had him keeping me on track, which was a godsend. Thank you again, by the way. So, yeah, I mean, I was able to shoot something in the woods. I was able to shoot a project I've been wanting to shoot for fucking ever now, so I was happy for the most part. And I got my 1 take. As soon as I got my 1 take, I was fucking happy. And then the next day, everything was just smooth sailing. So I'm like, yeah, I was in a good mood most of the time.
Yeah. How about you, Marcus? I mean, you were on 1, 3, and and this one. So I'm curious how you felt. Besides the little bit of tension, did it feel, like you were making maybe a step forward from
Definitely,
the previous,
especially compared to 1, because I mean, there's nothing wrong with 1. I like how it turned out, but it was more, what are we doing here? Let's figure this out. We'll kind of play it as we go. Whereas you guys had obviously put so much into this. I mean, you could see it in so many different little details that, it felt different. It felt like a more professional set, really.
Yay.
That's what I'm fucking striving for.
So, and then speaking of the cop car, so one other thing that happened with the cop car too, we ran out of gas.
Yep.
at like 3 in the morning.
So, yeah.
Oh, and you couldn't fit the thing in there. Remember that?
So here's how it went. So on top of all the other problems we had just getting the fucking car, it was also delivered to us without any gas, or the lowest amount possible to get it there. So about halfway through the first night of filming, it runs out of gas. So we're like, okay, cool. We bought extra gas. Let's go fill it up. So we're putting it in the hole, right? And all of a sudden we hear, what the fuck is that? One of us looks under it, and the gas is coming out of the bottom of the car. We're like, what the fuck?
So meanwhile, when
I-
that first happened, Mark was in the driver's seat, and I had the camera on him. And then he eventually got out and was like, I'm not seeing any of this, because I'm literally just in the car holding the camera, just keeping the shot where it needs to be. And so I'm only hearing like the dialogue, the gasoline hit the ground. So I'm just like, and it's, of course, because I had the camera on me, it's like I couldn't really turn my head to see what was going on. So I had
Yes.
quite the audio drama going on.
So it was me, David, it was all of us actually, and Dennis and Victor and David were the ones who were able to figure it out eventually. So there's this really weird mechanism in there that you gotta take it and plier it in or something like that and hold it, and then you gotta fill the gas in there. And I'm like, is this how you fill up a cop car? Like, is this some sort of protection thing they have? Later on, I asked my buddy, who is a cop, and he was like, no, that's fucking stupid. Who the hell came up with that? So it's like, yeah, so you fill up a cop car the normal way you fill up every other car. Yeah. Why the fuck didn't anybody tell us this when we...
Dude, you know the one thing too that it terrified the shit out of me though too was when I was in the car, and I heard like, oh, it's leaking. I'm like, no. I was like, it's a fucking gas leak. They're putting it in the tank and then it's leaking out the bottom. And I'm like, that's it. That we're done. There's like, if there's a gas leak, then there's no way we're gonna. My heart sank. They literally sank out of my asshole. Like that's the fucking feeling. Like, and I was like, it's a gas leak. That we're fucked. And I got out, and then we ended up figuring out. It's like, dude, and then like as soon as we figured out it wasn't gas leak, I kind of calmed down. But the funny thing is, it was like a bad joke. Like how many dudes does it take to fill up a gas cop car? Apparently 10. That's how many dudes it took to figure it out. But you know, oh my god, it was a fucking shit show. But I do want to give somebody a great compliment because we're talking about the cop car. Was the cage. Or the glass thing that David got. It was.
Dude, he built that thing.
I know, that's fucking awesome. That was a great thing to do, and it worked. Like, it wasn't the traditional actual cage, but it worked, and actually it fit very well into the modern look of the cop car. It was really cool that, how David set up the whole back and the whole cage. It wasn't the traditional, but it worked with the modern sense. And it was cool. I think once things calmed down, it was really cool because. To me, it felt very like we were stepping up in a level of professionalism. We had a legit cop car there, and we had, a storage van, and we had Crafty set up, and we had porta potties and, generators, and like there was actually legitimate equipment, that came along with this. So it made me feel like we had stepped up a level, especially from the previous productions.
This production absolutely increased my faith in our capabilities as filmmakers to get shit done. Like before, I still had doubts about a lot of projects that we want to do. I was just like, we can't fucking do this. Now I'm like, yeah, we can do it. It's just going to be a pain in the ass to figure out. We'll probably pull our hair out, but we can do it. Like, I even think we can do it. Yeah, lucky you. I'm losing it due to natural causes. Hello, ladies. But yeah,
So now we get to get into the lovely part. And then also too with the cop car, got delivered on a flatbed. It was cool to drive right past it and see it up on a flatbed and then have it delivered. That kind of cool experience was really nice.
So tell us about when you were at Portillo's.
But you guys ate Portillo's.
So Brandon and I were at Portillo's.
We did not enjoy it.
We did not enjoy it at all.
Not because of the quality of food, but because of what we had to deal with regarding the production.
So, and then this is where I get to hand off. I'm done with the stressful stories after this, but but that being said, I get a call from the fucking porta potty company saying their delivery guy says, "Oh man, I'm here, man." I'm like, "I'm 2 hours away, boss. Like you were supposed to come at 5 and everything else." And then I'm like, hey, you need to do that. I can't deal with it. So I tried to call the guy who actually sold this shit, and I couldn't get a hold of him. I was calling, people. Apparently he was like the manager of like a bunch of these different things. And I will never ever forget this. This is the most stone cold, shit I've ever seen or heard. And I'm in sales. Like this is some stone cold shit. I was fucking infuriated. And I was like, how could you do this? I'm dealing with a business, with owner. I'm not there. I can't communicate with him. I can't work this out. And he literally just said, it's like, all right, no problem, Mark. And everything else, we'll take it away and everything. We'll take it away and then we won't charge you.
Well, cancel the order.
Oh yeah, we'll cancel the order. Click. Hung up on me.
Oh my God.
I couldn't fucking believe it. I called him right back. I'm like, never do that. Like, never ever fucking do that. I don't give a shit who you are. You can't, he's like, well, what do you want me to do? The delivery guy's there right now. I'm like, no, I wanted you to do your fucking, no, nobody else did their job except us and like a few of our vendors. And everybody else just ceases to leave their psyche to do their fucking job properly. So I said, fine, fucking leave it. So I had to like FaceTime with the guy to try to like tell him maybe where it is. By the way, they gave us 2 porta potties instead of 1. Which we didn't need. Like, it was like everything was so slapdash from all these companies. And I don't know if it was COVID that like they just weren't used to doing business at that point, and they were completely out of practice about how to run their business. But it just seemed like everybody just could not get their shit together outside of us. And dropped it off. And then I got the very, very pleasant phone call that we protected Zach from the homeowner. So this goes back to and this is a good lesson. This is a good lesson about a lot of things. This is a good lesson about sometimes your communication is not what the communication that the person needs to hear. They need to hear even more. You need to over communicate, not just communicate, but over communicate. And so we go and do the test run the first time around. We're telling, Chris is there with his uncle. We're telling his uncle and everything else. We're getting going. We're talking about what's going on. So we say, I talk with his uncle. We tell him what's going on, and then the landlord is there the next time we're there because David's just a renter. He's not a landlord. I talked with the landlord. I said, hey, this is what we're going to be doing. We have a cop car here. We'll have a production here and everything else. And I guess I don't know where his logic met where the tire met the road on this one, because I told him they were gonna have a cop car here, and everything else. And he's like, oh yeah, I knew about that. And I told David we're gonna have a cop car here, and we have several people here. We'll have 10 people here or so. And I told him about what the story was about. And everything else. I was like, yeah, it's a pretty production. And then we get there, and he gets on the phone with me, and he's screaming at me. Like, you fucking assholes, you fucking, he did the famous line and everything else. He's like, should I put on some lipstick first? Because I like to be kissed before I'm fucked. And I'm like, I've never been really told that line before. I've heard it in movies, but I've never been told it.
Which, from my point of view, I'm just sitting in the passenger seat of the car next to him.
Oh, I'm driving too, by the way, while I'm doing this.
He's not on speakerphone. He's just on regular phone, and I am hearing the guy clear as day as if it was speakerphone.
And he's screaming, and I'm profusely apologizing. Yep.
Are you hearing this for the first time?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm profusely apologizing to him. He's like, I had a fucking porta potty, and this is what I didn't want to happen because the porta potty guy showed up before I could be there to manage the situation. So I'm trying to manage the situation from the fucking phone, which is impossible as I'm driving. Yeah, which is just the best part. Best time to deal with a crisis when you're driving with $20,000 worth of fucking equipment in the back seat, just trying to calm this guy down, and I'm sorry, please let's talk about it. I'm sorry about the miscommunication, in retrospect, I talked to this guy, and I told him he was gonna have a cop car there, and he's like, well, I just thought this was gonna be a few people with an iPhone and everything else filming. And my cousin Chris, jokingly, and I don't think this was David's fault or anything like that. I think this is a fault of them not, and that's the thing is, people outside of the film world don't understand film, period. They just don't. They think that, well, first of all, they either think that it's either a small thing or filmmakers have an unlimited budget that goes down to ever. You're in a film, you can just afford it. I'm like, that's a myth.
What do I keep saying? Money does not make everything go away.
No.
You still have a set number that you got to come in under.
Correct, and that's even beside the point. But it's just this myth that people have about this shit. And in my mind, in retrospect, I'm like, you knew we were gonna have a cop car. What made you think this is gonna be filmed on an iPhone if we have a cop car? I understand, I'm trying to trace this logic and everything else that you have. I thought it was gonna be 4 people with an iPhone. I was like, but we have a cop car, a legitimate cop car. Did you really think this was gonna be a small production? And I think he was, and a lot of that had to do with the porta potties being shown up and being put on his land and not being able to direct it properly, and he was worried about it being sunk into his land. And man, I get that shit. I do. And I think that, and Chris jokingly said this, and I don't know how much of this is true. It's a joke. He's like, Uncle David still sees us as kids, and he thought it was going to be a kid production. I'm like, no, I'm an adult, and we have a legitimate production. And I think that when this guy met me, You know what? And that's an unfortunate part about about that. And then it kind of comes back to a anger part about my life. I hate being not taken seriously. And I think in his mind, he really truly thought that I was just some kid. Like, I was just some kid that was going to come here and shoot something and everything else. And it wasn't until I arrived, he's like, I just thought this would be a big, small production. And then we got trucks, coming in, and, I got cop cars coming in, people parking over here. And and I really thought, like, what did you really think it was going to be? We had a cop car, and we were going to say we were going to be in the woods, and we would probably have a generator. What did you think this was really going to be? And we worked it out, we figured it out. I think everything calmed down and everything else. Got to know him, and but it was the icing on the cake of all of this. And I'm trying to and I'm like, everything is riding on this guy saying yes. Everything is riding on this guy saying yes. And I have never got to that level. And I apologize, Marcus, because this is probably why you felt Brandon, because a lot of this was coming off of me. And I knew that this is all I thought of when we're going there. I knew I had, and I'll just say this too, we had $6,000 of a budget that was riding on this, that we've already spent money and invested money in. I had a cop car being delivered. I had a porta potty being delivered that we've already spent money on. I have a cast and a crew that are showing up expecting to get in a production. I have costumes that were made, actors that were done. And our entire investment in this company and our reputation was staking on this one thing. So everything accumulated to that level of peak of stress in that car. And I'm sure no one outside of this little circle, even Zach didn't really know everything because we kept some shit from him because we needed his focus to be on there. It made me miss the days when I was just acting. I wasn't in it, but that's how much was riding on this with me. Like, I knew how fucking important it is. Not to mention too is that how important this production from our perspective, and an emotional investment in our perspective, and things that we knew. We knew that there's just some things in life that you can go, well, I walk away from this. And there's just some things too that they gotta go right. They have to. This is one of those things that I can't fail at. And I can't speak for the rest of these guys, but that was probably one of the worst 45-minute car rides that I've ever experienced in my life. I actually had an ulcer. And that I knew everything was on this. Everything was riding on this. And also too, and God bless Brandon, who took some of that stress away from me, but I had the weight of the world on me.
I told you, I knew we could get it worked out. Because what I said was, if he truly did not want us there, because he knew we were driving there, and he was mad. So if he truly did not want us there, he would have told you on the phone, don't come. But he didn't. So I knew we would have the opportunity to talk to him. We would have the opportunity to clear up any miscommunications.
And we did. We did. But there was a lot of that riding on, and then I hope I was able to bring some of that into the performance, man, because I
a little too much. You were red.
You were a fucking tomato.
Yeah.
For half the shots.
I will be talking about that a little bit more in post-production.
But yeah, that was production. But I will say this though, one of the most expensive things in this thing, but it was worth every fucking penny, was we got a hotel for the entire cast and crew about 15 minutes away, and man, was it perfect. I was so happy to get that because it just put things in a much different perspective. And by the way, that was another thing going to the next level, is having a place for everybody to stay. And the hotel staff was so damn accommodating. They gave me a great rate, and also too, they even said, we're going to even open up breakfast early for your entire cast and crew coming in, from everything. The lady I worked with, and then we also, some people stayed one night, and other people stayed 2 nights. Actually, I think most people just stayed that one night, and then I was one of the very few people that stayed, the 2 nights. Brandon did as well. So So now you get to understand what was really going on behind the scenes. So you get a little bit of a perspective on that. So I apologize if I put anything on you two on the set. I didn't mean.
I apparently owe you an apology.
Dick.
So I'm curious from Vinny. Did you see any of that?
No.
Yes.
Yes.
I mean, I don't know. I heard you were. I heard a few people were stressed out here and there, but I didn't.
He
It's
just summed it
funny
up to,
because-
well, it's a fucking film set, so yeah, that's normal.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like I just did that. I had probably the easy part of some of
being
this.
told
You
what to
must
do
have
as an
heard
actor.
about Brandon though, because I do remember you sending me a text, like,
Yeah, I don't remember.
you know, Brandon's upset or something.
I
remember
did?
being like, Brandon is upset. I
don't remember. I don't know. I don't remember if Brandon was upset. I'll admit. I'll admit. I was so sleep deprived already because I was an idiot and didn't take off work. I learned the hard way in any future film productions. I'm gonna put in and like actually make sure I have a day or so before it that I'm off and rested because I don't
You were up
know.
for like 24 hours.
Oh, I was up for 24 hours technically because of my job, and then us being up till 5 a.m. that first night. I don't know. Like my brain was in almost like a weird fever state, like fever dream state. I felt like at some point.
Still gave a
like-
good performance.
You did great.
Thanks.
I like she was like, you mean Brandon was upset? That reminds me of when I was on my second ship and I got chosen for a random drug test. And the head of security on that ship knew who I was. And when I showed up, he was like, really? They're wasting a random drug test on you? Okay.
I fucking love that.
Yeah,
no, I remember. I'm like, no, I'm taking that fucking Friday off. There's no way in hell I'm going to work and then doing this shit. No fucking way. I'll lose my mind. Wes was the one who's decided, yeah, I'm going to go to work and then do a Steadicam shot. I'm like, you're insane, but all right.
He did it.
He
He did it. He fucking did it.
Thank you, Wes.
Yeah.
He did it.
And we had we had some great help on the set. And you know what the funny thing is, the joke that you guys completely missed, but Sarah and I caught it was Chris when he was turning on and off the lights. The lights for the fucking cop car. Which, by the way, he was sending pictures to his family. His mom texted back, and she's like, "Oh, it's interesting to see Christopher in the front of a police car, not in the back." And like literally, it was so fucking funny. I was literally like, you guys were way over trying to plan the next shot, and I was taking a break. I went after the Crafty. And then like I was like, hey Chris, you can turn off the thing and everything. And else I'm walking back to Crafty. He literally like as I was walking up, he rolled down the window. He's like, I'm in charge of the wee woos.
No, I heard that. That shit was hilarious. He's over there playing music and shit, having a good time. The only thing I regret on that set was not getting a picture in the cop car. Got a picture by it, not in it.
Well, I mean, I got a pic. They got a pic. I think you took the picture of me in it.
Caption, officer, actor on duty.
Yeah, it was cool. It was cool. I'm actually interested too. Now that we're talking about production, now I got through all my fencing and everything else. I'm here to I want to hear some fun stories from the production. Anything you guys remember that you really dug and or had a good time with. I know I got a few with Marcus, but I'm very curious to hear from you guys about some fun or interesting.
During the Steadicam shot, it was just cool having a wireless monitor and being like so far away from the camera but still being able to see what was happening. I do feel we still need to find better walkie-talkies.
Yeah. Those things worked half the time.
There were some times where it's just like, I just needed to walk over to you guys because I literally could not hear what was being said to me on the walkie-talkie.
Same. I was just like, fuck it.
We keep going through different iterations of them. This is the second upgrade we've gone through, and I don't even know. I think a lot of it had to do with the earpiece.
It was definitely better than the last walkie-talkies we had.
Yeah.
I still feel like we have a ways to go.
Fair enough.
But yeah, that was cool. Yeah, I really don't have a whole lot to say. It was cool to have Victor running his Grip and Electric crew, getting the huge 2K light and the huge, I think it was a 6x6 silk bounce in the woods as well, having generators going. So it was cool to finally being able to oversee that equipment being set up.
Yeah, it was cool. How about you, Zach?
I mean, directing that one take, following literally behind Wes, trying to watch, make sure he doesn't fucking trip. Me and Sarah literally diving behind a log and me holding her just so she doesn't fall and whatnot. That was fun. What else? And then there's also, again, just following Wes and just make sure shit doesn't, break his back and whatnot.
Oh, dude, I almost broke when I looked over, because I was doing a lot of looks back and forth. I looked over to my left, and then there's fucking Zach doing the Burt Reynolds on one of the fucking logs like this. And I'm like, oh Jesus, I'm not gonna look that way. Zach and I have a thing when Zach and I make eye contact with each other. Every joke that we've ever told to each other comes flooding back.
Dude, that's why I was looking that way.
Yeah.
I was making sure to look in the polar opposite direction of you. I'm like, nah, fuck this. I'm not gonna be the one to screw this up.
It was really cool to get in that environment and everything else. And man, Chris is a goddamn ballerina. That fucking axe, that pickaxe went perfectly. Every time we watched it, I'm like, can that get any smoother? And he's like, no, I can't. And then also trying to make Lily disappear in the post was fun. But yeah, being in that circle and then I got to give up props to Vinny, and he can toss it over in a second. But being able to be totally game to jump and climb down trees and everything else, which were not safe, and we made him sign that waiver, and we had insurance, we had liability insurance on there, but still, it was cool to work with people in the games, and then also too, one of his friends, had driven quite a ways out. To that, I know one of them unfortunately couldn't come out because she was driving from Springfield, but the other one had come out from quite a ways away as well.
She was in the city with us, so she tagged along with us, and then she rested at the hotel, and then when me and him were heading back, we came and grabbed her and brought her back.
Oh, okay, all right, fair enough.
That was Abby, I believe.
Yeah.
She did a great job, marvelous performance.
Yeah, it was really really cool to see all that, and it was it was really fun, and actually, it felt like Zach's the first time I met you guys, and especially when I got to talk to you and Zach, and especially when I was in the cop car, and we're just, God knows if I remember what the fuck we were talking about, but you and I were joking and laughing about something and everything else, and that's that great touch with being an AD and just walking over, hey, what's going on, man? Hey, you doing good? Are you hanging? And then just bullshitting about whatever. And then Zach and I do. Zach's really good about directing me. He knows exactly what he needs to say to me, and I know exactly what I need to say to him. And we have a really good relationship that way. And things are easy and they run faster when that happens. So it was cool. It was cool to hang out with that, and and everybody seemed to be having a good time. And there seems to be a lot of fun on the set. Everybody seemed to be pretty on top of things. Victor seemed very happy to be fucking around with some big boy toys. And Dennis was more than happy to bring along. Oh yeah, I had to run back to the hotel to go pick him up. And go get him checked into the hotel, and it's just opening up the back of his truck and everything else, and seeing all these axes and pickaxes and shit in his back. But he's like, yeah, you think this is enough? And I'm like, yeah, I think that's enough, Dennis. And him playing Jenga, moving seats around. We ended up going entirely in his car. And damn, man, does Dennis have energy at 3 a.m?
Oh, absolutely. He is a fucking trooper. I am so glad we had him on board.
Himself. He was showing me a machete, and he's like, yeah, this was... Oh, shit, it's not that.
So Dennis likes to... So Dennis, and I love him for this because he's like me when it comes to this. He will show you it's safe, and then when he finds out it's not safe by showing you that it's safe, he's like, oh, okay, never mind, not that one. It's just like with guns. He'll completely dismantle the gun in front of you. It's just like, so yeah, it's clear. Do you see? Yeah, no, I do. Motherfucker, look!
I want you to see. He's a good prop master.
Absolutely.
Yeah. What was it? Was some good? What did you have any good memories or weird memories or?
Definitely weird. It felt like a strange set because I wasn't sure what to do next, how I could help the most. So that said, I just was just kept bouncing around to people and figuring out, okay, so I need to get the hell out of the way here. Okay, I'll go over here and just, okay, but no, they need my help back over here. So it was weird that way, just figuring out how to help. And the other thing I remember from that set was just exhaustion, especially driving him back in the morning, that morning. And
We're
then
listening
the
to
next
System
back.
of a Down for the most part
Yeah,
the
just-
entire way there
like,
and back.
I gotta
It's
be- I
just
gotta be
like,
awake,
just
you know,
start
come on.
headbanging right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what?
Just talking about metal and shit. It's just like, yo, you saw Johnny pulled back in '93? Cool.
I slept so good those 2 nights.
We're so happy for you.
I slept good when it was over.
Yeah. Me. Yeah, and also too, I had to. I forgot my contact solution. To bring it, so I had to go to Sam's Club at 5 in the morning with the rental car that charges me whatever amount of mileage per mile to go buy some fucking contact solution at 5 in the morning, dead to the world. The was fun. You know what's something though? I really enjoyed the drive back. Because Brandon and I were the calmest we had been the entire week. And we were both like, hey man, you wanna go get lunch? Yeah, we're gonna go do that. And we just like, and then we
Over here fucking dead to the world, like literally just like.
And we literally just sat at some outdoor place because it was really nice out that day, and we parked the van and like on the border of Wisconsin, and we're like, yeah, this is cool. And then my favorite part, of course, is getting the photo, the after set photo that we always get. It's still
the cop car.
Yeah, in front of the cop car. That always is the best. And then go ahead.
We got home and post-production started.
Yeah, but hold on real quick before we get to that. I wanna give Vinny a shot real quick too. Talk about any fun memories or any fun stuff from the production that you remember.
For me, it's mostly just. I mean, a lot of it was kind of crazy. Being out all night. I hadn't really pulled an all-nighter on a production like that before. So yeah, I mean, it was fun. It was a interesting ride. And I don't know. My sleep was very strange and surreal for those day or two. But I don't know. It was kind of a fun way to just spend 2 days and everything. And in between it, for me, in between everything, I didn't have that much to be responsible for. So
Actually, I liked hanging out with you and Dennis at the hotel.
yeah, I mean, we just hung out during the day and enjoyed stuff then, and looking at other things and other film stuff and that. So I mean, it was kind of like a project / little getaway for a day or two, and then we just other than that, I will say I was glad performance-wise to be able to get the smallest mask. I think ultimately, because I don't know, was that on purpose or not or whatever?
I believe I
just felt
chose
like
that-
I felt like I was able to probably bring more expressions
No, I know
through that.
I believe I
So-
chose everybody's masks individually. Like I believe the easiest ones were I chose everybody's mask. Like I remember
Good.
picking it out pretty easily. I'm just like based on characters' looks and roles. I was just like, you get this one, you get this one. Dennis, you get the cool one.
The gigantic
Fucking
The-
antlers
the-
that he found in his backyard. I remember when he sent us a picture of those antlers like the night before. I'm like, holy shit, yes, bring those. God.
I remember too, and I kind of wish Sarah was here, because apparently there was a whole other comedy sketch going on the walkie-talkies that we knew nothing about. Sarah was running a whole thing with Chris and with Wes and with a bunch of other people. It was a lot of 69 jokes and everything else.
Dude, it's Wes. I remember Sarah told me, it was just like the first thing he did that night. Guess what my phone battery's at? And Sarah just deadpan goes, 69? How did you know? It's you, Wes. Because it's you.
Because you're you. Apparently they were, like Sarah had never, she felt like she was at work, like with the walkie-talkies. So she was just fucking around with Chris. Chris, turn on the lights right now. And he's like, no. They just, I'm glad that they had to have some fun. And I know that the cult members were joking around with each other, like doing a bunch of crazy shit. And I know that they needed a whole, their whole mask was like one of the Vegas showgirls, giant fucking masks. They had to 2 people take that off of fucking Dennis's head.
That was fucking hilarious.
I need some mask assistance. I need some mask assistance. And they my fucking two people because we did not want to break it because it was so fucking cool.
So I was like,
it
if
so
somebody
cool.
fucking breaks this, I'm gonna be insanely pissed.
Dude, and that was one thing too. Like like Dennis was working up until like the last possible second for those masks. Yeah. I think like did we?
Dennis was one of those. He's like, don't worry, it'll get done. And it's just like, all right, I trust him.
And
he was actually sending us updates, just like, don't worry, it'll get that. Here's some updates. Like,
yeah,
you're sending us updates. That's more than most people are doing right now.
Yeah,
I would say Dennis and the people who made the patches were the only ones during pre-production that actually were like on par and on schedule with us.
Lori over at CP Apparel is fucking fantastic.
Yeah.
She's and I told her and I was fucking just terrified. I called her on like I know we meet networking wise on like that Wednesday before and she wasn't in that networking event. I'm like fuck. So I literally had to call her on Monday. And I'm like, Lori, I need these done. Like, I can't do anything until this is done. Like, she's like, it's like, you know what? Hold on, let me get in touch with our actual embroidery guy. And she said, okay, hold on, And she called me up the next day, and she's like, if you can get them here this afternoon, I will make sure that they're done by Friday morning. They fucking were.
Thank God.
Yeah, it was a crazy thing. Anything else on the production side? Any other fun things you can catch?
Production, like I said, for the most part, it went really smoothly, other than a few tiny hiccups. Us potentially destroying Wes's back, but it's Wes. He'll be fine.
It was interesting trying to get the right cop light pattern for his close-up. Because remember, the real cop lights looked weird on camera for that angle, so we had to use one of David's little aperture lights.
Thank God he had those. Those were nice.
Oh, and a big cool. They were. And a big shout out to those neighbors that I think it was Brandon and me or Zach and me.
No, it was me and you.
Yeah, they walked up to them on one of the pre-productions. They were like, "Hey, just so you know, the cops aren't really here. We're gonna be doing a production." I'm kind of like as much as the stress was getting to me, I'm kind of a little upset that they didn't swing by because they actually said it'd be really cool to get pictures with the cult members and everything else. I was like, I would love that. They were gonna bring over like their kids and shit, like to see the set and I'm like, oh, that would have been cool. Take pictures and
honestly,
everything else.
Part of me is just like, I don't care. I'm just glad everything went well.
Yeah.
Any other distractions, I would have been like,
yeah, another distraction. And of course, this is all in retrospect.
Post-production.
Yay! You guys can get into more detail about that.
Post-production, it was long, but I mean, for the most part, it was simple. It was mainly just trying to get everybody together to review the damn thing.
Hey, Zach, how about those lights?
Fuck you. So, as you know, there was a boating/lake area right behind the forest. So, as we're getting the shot, there's little speckles of light in the background. And I had to mask all those out into fucking Vigily. And here's the thing that pisses me the fuck off. Every time I'd mask one, somehow, someway, two more would pop up. It's like fucking cockroaches. You get rid of one, you mask another, you get rid of one, you get masked.
Two more will take my place.
It's like, seriously. I literally didn't finish until the night before release. I'm just like, fuck, motherfuckers.
Dude, like that's like okay. So just a little bit of background on post and everything else. Like we have a tradition literally where Zach will show us the cut and we'll make our notes and then he'll go in the other room and then Brandon and I watch a movie and then all we can hear from the other side of the door is motherfucker. And we go, oh well, I guess he's fixing it.
This was, in a way, probably my most challenging post-production because, like, for the most part, in terms of what I do, I'm just, like, our colorist. But this was the most challenging for me because episode 1, we actually did no color grade for episode 1. We just put
a damn thing.
We just put the LUT on and it was like, we're releasing it. We don't have time to do color grading. It's going.
We don't need it good. We just need it by Thursday.
Episode 2, I mostly just did some quick contrast adjustments. There was really only one shot where I did a lot of work on just to make it match the other shots better. But for the most part, that one was very quick. 3 was the first time where we actually did a full-on proper color grade. And of course,
it worked.
And of course, I've also learned a few things since then. I've also learned a few things since doing this one as well. So episode 5 will probably be even better in terms of color.
Cool.
But the 2 real stories I have are, 1, I was always so concerned on, is the image riding the line that I wanted to be on? Or did we go too dark? Or if I add some brightness to it, am I going too bright and revealing something we don't want to reveal. So this was so like I was very concerned about watching it on every screen and possible screen we can, because like we don't know, because like I calibrate my screen.
Nobody else
does.
Yeah.
So it's like, does it still look good on other screens?
Yeah, and then there was also the hard choice of like deciding between which one take we wanted to go with, because it's like at the end of the day we narrowed it down to essentially our very last take, and I think it was like take 2 or well,
it was 3.
Here's the thing: take 2 was technically like a fuck up in the beginning, so that was really like our second real take.
Okay.
So yeah, it was like those were the best ones, absolutely. Other than each of them had their own like strengths and weaknesses, so it was like, which one do we want to go with? Which one do we like better for this reason? Which one do we like better for that reason? So
this is the first time I've ever had to separate it. In my head. I never. And actually, I was surprised on how easy that was. I knew it was easy to take off the actor hat and put on the producer hat. And
You still got paranoid as fuck so many times.
Well,
like,
do they?
Oh my god, is this bad? Is this? It's just like, Mark, you're fucking fine. Shut
There's
up.
one thing we lost in post-production regarding that take that I kind of wish we still had it, but we're the only ones that know it's there, that it was there. So it had something to do with showing your face at a certain moment in one of the takes.
Yeah.
one of the takes.
Yeah.
One of the takes that we really liked, and we just couldn't use it.
Yeah.
It sucked from a performance standpoint. It was that was the hardest one.
Yeah.
That was the one time that
But
it was
ultimately,
really hard to
we're
switch
the
the
only
hat.
ones that knew that it was missing.
Well, now everybody else does. Good job, guys.
Well, I mean, we're talking about the making of. We can talk about the
Exactly.
stories and stuff now.
Exactly.
And then, so yeah, I was constantly worried about, do we go too dark, or if I brighten it up, am I going too bright? And then one skill I've learned in color grading since episode 3 is actually isolating skin tones. So that way I can just make the actors look the best they can. So this was the night of Mark's big stress. So in color grading, there are 4 different monitors you can use for different reasons. But for the purpose of this story, there's one called the vector scope. And what that is, it's basically a circle that represents the spectrum of color. And over here you have like red, and then there's like the cyans, the blues, the yellows, so on and so forth. It represents the color wheel. And then on that, there are all these dots. Each dot represents a pixel in your image, and you can actually see how the color is spread out and how much of a certain color and how saturated the color is and all that. On the vector scope, there is something called the skin tone indicator, which is just a line that represents where human skin tones are.
I knew you were going to
Yeah.
Just get to the point.
Yeah. So when I was isolating his skin tone for one of his close-ups, and it's like as you isolate it, it literally just I basically crop the image so there's just a black void around the image except for the color I want to look at. And when I'm looking at his skin tone, so the skin tone indicator is right here, and every pixel on his face was all the way over here in the red area, nowhere near where regular human skin tones are. You were legitimately an apple.
No, he wasn't an apple. He was a fucking tomato. He's Italian. Get it right.
Dude, I kind of like nothing would have made me happier at that point than to do like the ASL challenge and have somebody dump fucking ice on me, or stick my head in a fucking ice bath.
Luckily, I learned some skills, and said skills do pay the bills. And I was able to make you look human again.
Thanks. My sure shit didn't feel human at that point.
He was so fucking red. I'm literally looking at the shots, and I'm like, Brandon,
You're welcome.
Can you fix this?
I don't want to fix this. That was my words. I'm like, I don't want to.
It was crazy. It was a crazy thing. I was so fucking mad that day. It was when you're that upset, it's really hard to change your skin tone at that point. So, 'tis what it is.
And then the other
pigmentation.
awesome thing about post-production is we got Rob to do the music.
That was my
Yes.
favorite fucking part. He was so nice and easy to work with. Like actually getting somebody to compose instead of me having to go through audio blocks
We
and
had
shit like
original
that.
music this
It
time.
was like
Brennan,
it's night and day.
what's his name? Because I can't sure shit.
Cucurbitophobia.
Thank you. Wow, bam, Zach's got it on point.
Zach's learning.
The
Now it's your turn.
yeah, that's not gonna happen.
Yeah, Rob Benny of Cucurbitophobia.
The
Yeah, I was very happy that we were
so
able
happy.
to work with Rob and Dennis for this, because those are two people that we met at the horror conventions.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
met Rob over at the New
Jersey
Jersey,
Con.
and then we met Dennis over
At
at
Dark
that.
History.
Yeah.
and dude Rob is so fucking cool. We've had him on twice. The and he's actually he did one of the musics for a Christmas special I did for Horror Facts of the Day. I used one of his songs for it. Which was really cool. He's insanely talented.
Absolutely.
It's retarded how talented he is. The
I'm happy we were able to work with the cast and crew full of people that we've known since before the beginning of this company, and I'm happy that we were also able to work with two other horror creators that we never would have met if not for Midwest Horror Network and
Going to these horror
Yeah, we've always
conventions.
said we're
yeah.
devoted to production, innovation,
Education.
and community of the horror genre,
Gotcha.
and so I feel we really stayed true to the community like never before.
Absolutely, and and it was, and that's the great part about it is it feels like it's so easy to step into that. All the other, that's the one thing I don't like, and I always joke when we're planning our crew schedule, like we don't even think about it. We're like we skip down to like stuff that like maybe sound that we need, but everybody else we're like yeah. Marcus AD, we don't even discuss it. It's already there. It's already done. And that's the great part is that we have all these people that we can count on.
Making sure everybody's available.
Yeah, that's of course the
Yeah, because we decided to plan episode 2 on Easter like a bunch of fucking morons.
and it was a Jewish holiday
And a Muslim holiday.
and a Muslim holiday.
I'm surprised we even got that one done just based off those merits. I'm like, shit, people
we
are willing to
had
do
to.
it. Oh, we did.
I'm surprised there wasn't a fucking full
With my
moon that night.
schedule, we had to.
Yeah, otherwise we wouldn't have been able to shoot it for 2 months.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, because you had several different productions after the fact.
He
and
had
then you
a feature he was working on plus masterclass.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. The
And visiting family.
but
Even more.
yeah, post was was a lot of different edits to go through, but the funny thing is it just didn't seem like any different from any other process. It was us watching it over and over again, and and on the big screen on our phones.
Me
And,
going through painstaking efforts to make sure the sound is good because I had to sound design this one entirely from scratch because we had a generator in the background, so I knew I'm not using scratch audio this time. That's for damn sure.
the and I know that and also too was this the first time that Wes didn't have anything?
Yeah, Wes didn't notice any other than sound problems, which I'm just like, of course those are gonna be there. He's just like, yeah, dude, there's no visual weirdness. I don't see Marcus's jeans in one shot.
Oh no!
I don't see a boom
Marcus.
mic.
No, Marcus's hairy legs in the shot because that's how I knew it wasn't me.
For your sake, I'm not going to say what it was because this really didn't happen.
What?
But
Nothing happened.
This time, Justin and I were actually the Wes.
No, I looked at that shot. It wasn't even a thing. The only problem was it's so dark that it doesn't look like anything's happening. But if you look at the original shot, there was movement.
Either way, in the final shot that we saw in the rendered version, you understand why we said what we had to say.
I still think it was stupid, but whatever.
Fair enough. The but yeah, that Marcus, I was so happy when they came back. That shot from episode 3. When somebody in the background in the bathroom was showing somebody, and he's like, I was like, oh, it's shorts. It wasn't me. I was wearing jeans that day. It was Marcus. Yeah, he was able to black it out. It was nice and easy. But
Of course, I can fix anything.
almost anything.
No, I can fix anything. It's just how much time and money you want to put into it.
That's true. That is always so very true. But yeah, this is a pretty clean process with the exception of a large amount of color grading and a large amount of removing lights.
Removing lights and sound design, that was really it. Other than that, editing it was fucking simple as shit because most of it is one take anyways.
You got a hell of a skill for fucking sound design. It works. It works from that perspective. You have a really strong thing.
Well, I got tired of other people fucking up their sound, so I decided I want mine to be good.
And I think you learned a lot from episode 2 specifically because that had amazing sound design in there.
No, I just had a good sound design teacher. Thanks, Andy. You're a badass.
There you go. But yeah, that's all I really had to say for post.
Nice.
So
Yeah, you had cursed, didn't you?
the
Fat piece of shit. Go fuck yourself.
So I do, now that we're done, if there's anything else in post, I wanted to I actually wanted to get Hannah's perspective, because she was just as a viewer of this, she wasn't involved in almost any of this. So I'm curious to see what your perspective is now that you've heard all the.
Mark just wants his ego stroked even more.
No, not at all. I definitely want to hear what your perspective is, hearing all the craziness that went on behind the scenes.
Well, you hit it well. I mean, I would have never known that there was all that craziness behind the scenes. I think one of the things I could say, like you mentioned earlier, you plan ahead a lot, which I think is why it was so successful. Because in spite of all those little things that gathered up, you were able to just get the point out and what you wanted to do. And it was a great episode. I mean, it was really, in my opinion, probably the most eerie episode I've seen of them so far.
I'll take it.
Really good suspense. Very nice.
And what about you, Vinny? Kind of hearing a lot of these stories that you kind of heard a little bit about, but not as much.
I mean, it's called life of making a film. Any kind of film work. It's just what it is. It's just things happen. Sometimes things don't happen, and but I think it all worked out for the best, and I'm just glad it came out smoothly, and it looks like a good product. So I'm excited to see what the general audience and everybody's going to have to say about it.
Nice. So and then Marcus, what are your I guess this is kind of chalking up to final thoughts at this point, but
It is final thoughts.
but so what do you think, man? What now that a lot of these a lot of the crazy stuff, the whole story now. So what are your final thoughts on this?
You guys should be proud. You obviously put a ton of work into it. Your pre-production was spectacular. I mean, I usually try to help with pre-production, and you guys didn't. I don't think I did much with pre-production on this one. You guys were like, no, you were laser focused and came off well.
Yeah. Zach?
We did it.
Is this the first time Zach did not have squirrels?
No.
Final thoughts?
I think it is.
Brandon, I'm going to stab you in the jugular. Get it over with.
You want me to stab myself in the jugular?
Yes.
Later. Yeah, I'm really proud of this one. We did a lot of things that we'd never done before.
We didn't think possible.
Used a lot of equipment we never used before. Dealt with a lot of stresses we'd never.
Oh no, I knew that was possible. I just didn't think we'd get to it this
the
early.
Types of stresses that we never thought we would. And like we said earlier, this is an episode that there are people who told us we would never be able to do it. But
And we
here
said,
we are.
fuck you.
This is my final thoughts. And here we are, and we did it.
I have a lot of feelings, Brandon, so I need you to just accept it.
Zach just said he has feelings.
He admitted it. Yay!
He admitted that on his own free will.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, it doesn't mean it's going to make it into the final product.
Anyway, so I am incredibly proud and of everyone. I couldn't be fucking luckier to be surrounded with amazing people, amazingly talented people, and passionate people who give a shit about something. And this is kind of in the same vein of the Facebook post that I wrote, but this started with Zach, Brandon, and myself. Just saying, hey, we want to make something cool. We're tired of waiting on other people, and we wanted to. We knew. And I think I said this to Zach, and I think I said this to Brandon at the very beginning. I was like, we're incredibly talented guys that are just sitting and fucking wasting away right now. And we have a lot of other people around us that are wasting away, that are incredibly talented and are not using them. We're not in. Nothing's going on. Nothing's happening. And we have to. We have to take the responsibility and do it ourselves, because nobody else is going to do it for us. And that's the day that we decided to do this, and it's amazing to see what it's become and what it continues to be, and continues to surprise the hell out of me. And it's amazing what you can do when you say, nah, I'm going to do that. And you stay to your fucking convictions, and you say,
Stay the
course, and you say, we're going to do this, and you trust the people around you that are talented and they can do the things that you can't do, but also work well as a team together to get the job done, and be around great people that are also amazing and talented, but also great people, and it makes it a lot easier to do it, and it's fucking fun. I know, and this is the last sentence I'll say. How many fucking people can honestly say that they're doing what they love to do? Not many. Not many at all. We're doing it.
And I'll just write the curtails of that real quick. If you are a filmmaker out there, low budget, no budget, if you do feel something is out of your reach, don't approach it that way. Just break down whatever idea you have and what do I actually need to pull off this idea. It may take a while to get those things, but as long as you keep at it, you can do it, and we are living proof of that.
Yeah. No pun intended. Brandon, take us out.
All right. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Nightmares Podcast. You can listen to all previous episodes of the Nightmares Podcast wherever podcasts are available. Also, be sure to follow us on our social media at Midwest Horror Network on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and...
Slasher.
Zach is having an existential crisis.
now they has to confront the fact that he has feelings.
Uh-oh.
I'm gonna confront your face with my knife.
And the camera's back to me. The less violent area. If you can be so awesome, if you are checking out this this video on YouTube, to stab that like button, smash that subscribe, and click that little dingy bell to be notified every time we drop amazing content right here on MHN. And guess what? Part of that amazing content is the episode that we just talked about, that we will put a link in the description below, because we want to make sure that you check out the awesome episode and then come back to this, so you're not spoiled about it. So thank you so much for checking out this episode of the Nightmares Podcast. We will see you next time. Bye, guys.